Alright, so good morning everyone. We shall make a start now. You guys can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Alright, good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, as I would have sent in a message in the group, for this term, the only thing you are writing is these two chapters here, chapter 3.1 and 3.2. This term, we are looking at networks. So, last term and anything else that we need to cover for the term, you'll be printing, but I will let you know about that when we are finished with these two chapters. So in these two chapters you are writing for the term. Now, last term we would have looked at computer hardware, software, and so on. We would have looked at the basics of hardware and software. Now, with that basic now, you would have understand the difference between data and information. When you have a computer, when you have a device, you have data, you have information. Now, most times, what do you do with that data or information? You share it. So, for example, if you have a picture, or you have a video, or you have a music file, a game, whatever the case may be, you would share that with someone. Now, how do you share that in, you can say, in computer world? So, in terms of computers, how you share those data and information, you do so through the network. Now, so that is what we will be looking at today. We'll be looking for at this term, what is the network, how we can configure the network, what is the type of network, what is the advantages, what is the disadvantages, and so on. So, to get us started, we can have someone read for us two paragraphs. Let's have Anaya. Can you read for us?
Yes, sir. Previous chapters have covered the fundamentals of using a computer system and its peripherals. Now we will look at linking computers together to enhance communication among users, whether in the same office or across the world. Data communication is the transmission of data and information between two or more computers. Many computer users need to be able to connect their computer to other computers, whether located close by or at a remote site. For example, office workers may want to communicate with data on computers at their workplaces from wherever they may be working in the world, and home computer users may want to access the internet. Data communication is essential for electronic mail, email, voicemail, fax email, fax, telecommuting, video conferencing, electronic data exchange, EDI, global positioning systems, GPS, online services, social media, and the internet.
Very good. So, the first paragraph is basically giving you the preview that I would have just given you. We have data today, but in order for us to share that data with other persons, we need a way to link all of the computers together. And we do so through the network. Now, the first term that you should be taking note of is data communication. Now, what is data communication? That is when you transmit data or information between two or more computers. So that transmitting, that receiving of the data or information is referred to as data communication. Now, there's many reasons why we want to share data and information. Office worker might want to share that information or data with other persons in the office. A student might want to share data with other persons in in with the teacher and so on. Now, say for example, you're working in an office, and excuse me, I have a class over here. Yes, so that worker now has, say for instance, that worker is working on a poster for his company, and that poster now, he needs someone to proofread that poster. In order for him to get someone to proofread that poster, he would need to share that with someone. And in order for him to share that poster with someone, he can use the same network that the company would be a part of to share that with other persons. Now, we have other instances where we can make use of the network. It can offer us services like email, it can give us services like fax, telecommuting, video conferencing, and so on. Now, let's see some other ways that we make use of the network. Let's have Aaron, can you read for us? Aaron? Akila?
Yes, sir.
Can you read for us? The next two?
Yes, sir. I'm reading from many, right?
Yes.
Okay. Many schools, businesses, and other organizations link computers together to form a network so that they can transmit data and information, share files, resources such as disk drives, CD-ROM drives, modems or printers, and programs such as word processors, spreadsheet, and database. There are two ways that data can be transmitted between computers. To upload data means to send this data from your computer to another computer on the network or the internet. To download data means to receive data to your computer from another computer on the network or the internet.
Very good. So, not only can we share data or information through the network, we can also share resources. Resources such as your hard drive, your CD-ROM drive, your modem, your printer. Devices that can be connected to your computer, you can share them over the network so that persons can be able to access them. So remember, the network, what we're looking at is the ability to share information and data, resources, with other persons. Now, say for an example of sharing resources is, say for example, a printer. If you have, now some of you may have a printer at home, and you would know to operate that printer, you would connect that printer via cable to your computer, whether a desktop or a laptop. You would plug in it to your computer via a USB cable, and you'll be able to print to that printer. Now, other persons would not be able to access that printer because it is connected to your computer. What you can do over the network is share that printer over the network. There's an option that when that printer is connected to your computer, you are able to share that printer over the network. So whoever is a part of the network would be able to access that device also. So that's one example of being able to share resources. So another two terms that you should take note of, that is upload and download. So most of you should have heard these terms before, especially if you use YouTube. Upload refers to sending data or transmitting data from your device to another device. So for example, you have your phone and you may have, say for instance, a song on it, and you are sending that song, that file, to maybe another phone or to a computer somewhere. That is referred to as uploading. So you transmitting that to some other device. Now downloading is basically the opposite. You want a picture, you want a song, so you download or you receive that data from another device around the world to your device. Alright, so let's have somebody read that entire part from computers all the way to the end. Phones. Alonzo, can you read for us?
Yes, sir. Computers can be linked in different ways or configurations to transmit data. Two configurations are point-to-point, a direct link between two computers in a network. Broadcast, using one computer to transmit data and information to serve the needs of several terminals or computers connected to it in a network. A popular way of transmitting data is through microwaves, which are high-frequency radio signals that travel through the atmosphere. They're used for high-volume, long-distance communication. So you can scroll down with the time to the bottom. Microwave signals, however, only travel in straight lines. They can be bounced off satellites to cover longer distances. Low-orbit satellites travel closer to Earth, so weaker signals can be processed while consuming less power. An example of a system that uses microwave is a cellular network that supports two-way communication. These networks use interconnected cell sites that communicate with mobile or cellular phones.
Very good. So when it comes to the network, there are basically two configurations that you can have. The first one is a point-to-point configuration. So a point-to-point configuration only has two devices, and those two devices are linked together in order to share data between each other. So they're directly connected to each other. So it does not matter how these devices are connected to each other. What matters is that they are connected and they have the ability to share information. Mustafa? Yes. So an example of this point-to-point connection is your Bluetooth connection on your phone. Now, with a Bluetooth connection, you have two devices, your phone and another phone, and those two devices are connected to each other, and they are capable of sharing that data, whether it's a music file, a picture, or video, with each other. Now, the opposite to that configuration would be a broadcast. In this broadcast now, you would have multiple devices. It's not only two now. So with this in mind now, when it comes to a network, remember a network is being used to share information, to share data. So in a network, what do you guys think is the minimum amount of devices that you can use? Here's a question to you guys. What do you think is the minimum amount of devices that you can use? Anyone? What is the minimum amount of devices you think you can use in a network?
Three.
3? Why do you say 3?
Sir, because to me it would make more sense to just have two computers because if you wanted then you could just take them connect them together, but a network to me sounds more like a group instead of a peer.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, I think two.
Any reason behind that?
Sure, because
Not computer or device.
Okay, well, the correct answer is two. The minimum amount of devices that you would need in a network is two devices. Remember, the network is just being used to share information, to share data. So the point-to-point configuration is actually the smallest configuration. At least two devices connected to each other in order to share that information. So two is the minimum amount, and thus point-to-point is basically the smallest configuration that you can have. And as I mentioned, an example of that is a Bluetooth connection with two devices so that they can share data between each other. Now, as I was saying, the broadcast is the opposite of that. A broadcast would have multiple devices now, and all of those devices that are on this one network would be able to transmit information or data or receive the information or data with whoever is connected to the network. Now, that is the configuration. It can either be a point-to-point, two devices connected to each other, or it can be a broadcast, multiple devices connected to each other. But how they are connected does not matter, because you can be connected to the network via different methods. For example, you can be connected via cable, you can be connected via some sort of wireless connection. So for example, most of you have Wi-Fi at home. That is a form of microwave using radio signals so that you can be connected to your network at home. An example of this wireless network also is your cellular network. So most of you have a phone. That phone has a number inside of it, and that phone is a part of a network. You're either part of GTT's network or you're part of Digicell's network. And what are you doing on that network? You're sharing information and data. So you are making calls, you are receiving calls, you are sending text messages, you are receiving text messages. So you're using that network in order to be able to share information, in order to be able to receive information. So it doesn't matter how you're connected to the network. The network, once you're connected, it is used to share and receive information. And that will give you services such as what we have over here. You get services like mail, email, video conferencing, online services like you can buy items, you have social media, and so on. So, any questions on, basically that's an overview of network. Any questions on that before we move on to the configuration?
No, sir.
Alright, let's look at network configuration now. So let's have Amelia. Can you read for us?
Network configuration. A computer network connects computers so that workflows such as printers can be shared among computers. Networks come in different sizes. A few computers, printers, and large hard disks, usually on one site, can be linked in a small local area network (LAN). Many small and large computers located on different sites spread over a large geographical area or in different countries can be linked in a wide area network, or WAN. A good example of a wide area network is the Internet.
Good. So the first line basically emphasizing what we would have learned so far. On the network, you share not only data, you also share resources. You can share your devices, such as your printers and so on. Now, networks are categorized based on their size. So, based on the size, they fall under different categories. Whether they refer to as a LAN, whether they refer to as a WAN. Now, what is not mentioned here is a PAN, a PAN. So I want you guys to take note of that. A PAN refers to a personal area network. So like how you have the LAN, that is a local area network. A PAN, a PAN, is a personal area network. Now, a local area network is a small network compared to one, and it is mostly the size is mostly within a room or within a building. So, for example, your home right now with that router, that configuration is a LAN network, a local area network. And smaller than that, we have a PAN, which is a personal area network. Now, that PAN, you can say an example of that PAN is your point-to-point connection, which is your Bluetooth connection. So, the point-to-point is the smallest configuration, which is 2 devices, and the PAN is the name of that network size, a personal area network. If you think about the word personal, that is something you would have created for your own personal need. So you would have created that personal network to be able to transmit the audio file or the picture or the video between the 2 devices. Now, a local area network, when you hear the word local, you would think of a network that is close by, one that is nearby, so physically nearby. So not only do you think of the size configuration in terms of the name, but you also think of the the distance from you physically, you can say also. So a personal would actually be right nearby, and a local area network would be within the same building or close by or something. Excuse me, can you guys please leave? Yes, so a wide area network now, Azaria. A wide area network now is much larger than a local area network. It's actually the largest network that you can have. It can cover many cities, many towns, and it can even cover many countries. So, a very good example of a wide area network. Azari Mustafa, please leave the room. Please leave the room. Please. leave the room. Yes, as I was saying, the wide area network, Bimal, you want me to put you out too? The wide area network is a much larger configuration as compared to the local area network. It covers many countries, many areas, and a very good example is the internet connection. That is the largest wide area network. Now, let's look at the other configuration. That would be a MAN. Now, Anicia, can you read for us?
Metropolitan Area Network (MAN) falls between WAN and LAN. It is large enough to extend to an area like a city or campus. MAN might therefore be owned and operated by a single organization, for instance a university, and assessed by students and other associated organizations. MANs are useful in connecting LANs to WANs, like the internet.
Alright, you could pause here. So, the other configuration that we have is a MAN. So we have 4 configurations so far. We have the PAN, we have the LAN, the WAN, and now we have the MAN. Now, a MAN refers to a metropolitan area network, and the MAN, the size is between a LAN and a WAN. So the PAN is the smallest, then the next size we have the LAN, then above that we have the MAN, and the largest would be the WAN. Now, as mentioned, the LAN, that size or configuration is, you can say, a room or a building. So that is a local area network. Now a MAN, you can say that configuration would be multiple LANs. So a network that connects multiple local area network that covers many buildings, that would refer to as a MAN. So an example of that would be a university. A university would have multiple buildings. For example, if any of you ever went to UG or any other university, you will notice they have multiple buildings on campus, and each building might be its own department. Now remember, we are creating a network to share data, to share information. So if the IT department wanted to share information with the social study department, then in order for them to do that, they would need to, instead of physically walking over to each department to share any information, they can do so over the network. And that configuration, once it covers different buildings, it would be referred to as a metropolitan area network. Now, usually that configuration is owned by a single organization, but that is not always the case, because multiple organizations can come together and connect their network to each other, and thus forming a MAN. But usually it's done by one organization because they want the information to be basically private. So they would only that one organization be able to access that network. So the next two paragraph, let's have Brandon.
Yes, sir.
You're reading the next two paragraph, Brandon.
Yes, sir. Computers that are not networked are known as standalone computers. Data that is on a standalone system has to be transferred using a secondary storage device. If it is to be used on another computer. Not all networks are connected with cabling. Some networks are wireless networks. A wireless local area network, WLAN, is a LAN that is great for allowing laptops or remote computers to connect to the LAN. Wireless networks are also beneficial in other buildings where it may be difficult or impossible to install cables. However, they provide poor security and are susceptible to interference from light and electronic devices. They are also slower than LANs, even when connected using cabling.
Good. So when a computer is not connected to a network, the term that refers to that device is called a standalone computer. So when a computer is standalone, it is not connected to any network, but if it needs to share data and information, it needs to do so using a secondary storage device. Sean? It needs to do so with a secondary storage device. So last term we would have looked at secondary storage device. Can any one of you give me an example of a secondary storage device?
A flash drive.
Very good. A flash drive.
External hard drive.
External hard drive. Anything else?
Flash memory.
Flash memory. Very good. So those are some good examples. Flash drive, memory card, external hard drive. So remember, the network is used to share information and data. So if a computer is not connected, if it is standalone and it wants to share that data and information, it needs to do so by using a secondary storage device. Now we have another configuration now, the WLAN, or the Wireless Local Area Network. You can say this is like an extension to the local area network. The local area network gives you a connection via a cable. So in order for you to be able to connect devices that do not allow you to basically plug in a cable to them, they would have their connection done wirelessly. For example, your phone, your laptop, and so on. So they need to be a part of the wireless network. And that network, that configuration, is referred to as the wireless local area network. Now, there are some advantages and disadvantages of this wireless LAN versus the local area network. So now, the advantage of the wireless LAN is portability. So you can be within a specific area and basically move around and not be limited as to where you can be, because in a local area network you have to be wherever the cable is connected to the device. For example, if you have a laptop and you plug in a cable, you have to be exactly where that cable is connected to your computer, wherever it's located. But with a wireless LAN now, you'll be able to reach different areas in your home or different areas in the building and still be connected to the network. Now, the disadvantage now of that wireless LAN is its susceptibility to interference. So it's using microwaves, it's using radio waves. So that technology can be interfered by devices that are using similar frequency. So, for example, if you have your router near a microwave, an actual microwave, the device that you heat your food with, if you have it near that device, it will affect the Wi-Fi signal on your router because they basically have the same frequency. They're using the same radio wave technology, and they can cancel each other, interfere with each other. Um, Other devices, such as a cordless phone, once a device gives off the same frequency, the same radio wave, it can interfere with the wireless LAN and thus give you a poor signal so that you no longer have a proper connection. So that's the disadvantage. Even though you have portability, you can move around. You're limited by the distance and you're limited by the speed because a wired connection, it can give you more distance because you can run a cable anywhere and be connected, and via that cable it doesn't have as much interference as a wireless LAN. So the cable would give you more speed than a wireless LAN. So that's the advantage there. Alright, so lastly, let's look at a simple configuration. Narendra, can you read for us? Narendra? Darren,
Yes, sir.
can you read?
Sir, from where? Again.
To computer.
To connect a computer to a LAN using cables, you plug the network cable into the network adapter on the computer. You then have to set up the system software which enables the computer to operate on the network. The computer is now ready to share files, resources, and programs with other computers or users. To connect computers to a LAN using cables, you need a networking cable, a network card in each computer, a hub or hubs, a file server, system software.
Good. So now we're going to look at a simple configuration of a network. So those bullet points you're seeing, those are some of the needs that you would have to create a network so that you can be connected to the network and be sharing information and resources. So a simple configuration is most of you most of you will have your internet connection from GT&T. Some of you may be using e-networks or so on, but most of you will have GT&T. So with GT&T, you have a phone cable coming into your house. So that phone cable is how you get your landline connection. Now, that same phone cable now, when you plug that cable into a modem, so that's the first device you will need. When you plug that cable into a modem, and then you have that cable plugged into a router, you will be able to have your network connection. Now, so you can see the first bullet point here, that the needs that you will have, you need network cabling. So even the connection, the wired connection that comes from GT&T, that is also considered network cabling. Just that it's a different format of network cabling. So you have a network cable going to your modem, another network cable going from your modem to your router. Now, the second part is a network card in each computer. So in order for your computer or your device to be able to access the network, they need a network card. Now, it can be a wired network card whereby it gives you a port so that you can plug in a cable. So your desktop and some laptop would have a wired network port allowing you to plug in a cable. Other devices would have a wireless network card. So for example, newer laptop, smartphones and so on, they have wireless network card. And through the wireless connection, they will be able to connect to the network. Now, the reason why the third point has a hub is so that you can connect multiple devices to your network. Now, a hub is an older device. Today, we no longer use hubs. The device that we use is called a switch. So you guys should take note of that. So right next to switch, you should write hub. Right next to hub, you should write switch. That is the newer device we make use of. Now, in your home, you will not see a switch because you'll be only seeing a router. And if you were to look at the back of your router, you will see about 4 ports very close by to each other at the back of your router. What happened over time was that these technology companies, they realized that persons need a switch, they need a router in order to set up the network in their home. So what they did, they built both devices into one. So now the device that you have at home is a router and a switch in one. So it's actually 2 devices in one. So those 4 ports that you see at the back that are closely connected to each other, that is the switch part of your router. So that's the third device that you need. So if you have any device that needs a wired connection, they use the switch part of your router. Now the fourth thing you need is a file server. Well, the file server is going to be basically a device that has the data or the resource that you need to share. So for example, any computer can be considered a file server. So once the device is sharing that information or data, that is referred to as the server. They are serving that data or that resources. And the last one is the system software. As you would have learned last term, if a device does not have a system software, it cannot function basically. So in order for your device to function, even your router has a system software. They all need a system software in order for them to function, in order for them to be able to work. And that is how they get connected to a network. Alright, so we're going to stop here for today. Is there any question on any one of the configuration that we looked at today? Yes? No? Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Alright, let's have a quick review. So, today we looked at the basics of network. Why do we need a network? We need a network because we want to share information, we want to share data, we want to share resources. We use the network for those purposes. Your first term is data communication. That is when you are transmitting data between 2 devices, 2 computers. Because we have network connection, we have many services. We have email, we have video conferencing, we have online services, social media, and so on. Not only do we share data, like for example a music file, a video, and so on, we also share resources. We share printers, we share devices, and so on over the network. We can even share programs. So for example, you can share your Microsoft Word and so on over the network. 2 other terms, upload and download, we looked at that. We looked at the two configuration, a point-to-point. So remember, it's only two devices connected to each other. And a broadcast, it's multiple devices connected, and they are sharing and receiving information and data. Remember, the network is configured to share information and data. So it does not matter how you are connected to the network. You can be connected via cable, you can be connected via some sort of wireless technology. It does not matter. Once you are connected to other devices and you are able to share information, resources, and so on. We looked at 5 configuration. We looked at a PAN, personal area network, which is only 2 devices. It can be more than 2, but it's only for a very small area, because a Bluetooth connection is a personal area network, and because of technology, we can have more than 2 devices in that Bluetooth connection. So it's not only 2 devices in that personal area network. A local area network is larger than a PAN. It can be in a room or in a building or so on. Above a LAN, we have a MAN, which can cover multiple buildings, and a WAN can cover multiple countries. So the WAN is the largest. We looked at what is a standalone. A standalone is a computer that is not connected to a network, and a wireless LAN is the extension of the wired LAN. So that wireless devices would be able to connect to that network. Lastly, we looked at the needs to create a network. You need cables, you need the devices, you need a network card, and so on. Alright, so we shall end there for today. If you guys don't have any questions, enjoy the rest of the day.
Bye, sir.